Hello friends, now we are here with new chapter. What if Naruto had a powerful eye bloodline?
A visit from the Shinigami. His claws scratched against the metal of Sasuke's headband, leaving a deep cut. As he felt the piercing blow to his chest, he saw Sasuke's eyes widen in shock as his blow landed while the blonde's did not.
Why? Was the question asked as they began to fall toward the water. Naruto could only smile as the Chidori pierced through his body, because we are friends.
They hit the water with an enormous splash, staining the pool red as Sasuke withdrew his arm, his hand-like wings rolling back into his shoulders. Naruto began to sink into the waters, not even bothering to hold his breath. His body was beaten, and battered beyond even the Kyuubi's helping. His chakra network was all but destroyed by overuse of the Bijuu's chakra in the one-tailed state for so long.
Hey, figures this is how I'd go, he thought to himself as he watched Sasuke swim to the surface for air.
Should've known, I guess. Dead last in everything, even when I fight with everything I have. Oh well, at least I get to see the old man now. He closed his eyes as water began filling his lungs. This is it. No more. I've really had enough. Thinking back on his life, what did he really have to lose? Even though he knew why he was hated now, he couldn't bring himself to actually forgive the village. All he was to them was a vent for their hatred toward the Kyuubi he carried. Stupid people, he sighed as he sank deeper. Even I can tell the difference between scroll and the kunai sealed inside it. His body began to grow cold the deeper he sank, and he knew it was over. Nothing could hurt him now. His life of hardships at the hands of his village's population was over. I'll miss all my friends, he thought, thinking about Shikamaru, Choji, and even Kiba. 3 people he considered good friends, even though the latter was a bit of a pain.
Suddenly, he was being hauled upward, his body sailing through the water. Light filled his vision as he broke the surface, someone's arm wrapping around his chest. Don't you dare die on me, you idiot. Sasuke's voice growled as he hauled him toward the shore. You don't get off that easy. If I'm gonna kill you in a fight, it's not gonna be from a freebie. Naruto rolled his eyes toward the boy. What? The hell? Are you doing, you bastard? He asked weakly. I thought you wanted those damned eyes of yours?
He felt his feet touch the ground as Sasuke dragged him out of the water. Not like this. He growled. It's not worth it. He said, and hauled him onto the shore, collapsing onto the beach. Damn it. Sasuke lay sprawled out on the ground, not even caring about the stones digging into his back. What the hell's wrong with me?
Naruto snorted. You're seriously asking me that? He said, his voice hoarse. I could make a list a mile long if I could lift my arms right now. Sasuke scowled at him, frowning as he saw that blood from his wound seeping onto the ground. That's not what I meant. Why isn't he healing? The Uchiha wondered. I've seen him come back from some pretty nasty wounds, but this one's not even trying to heal. Naruto sighed tiredly, lifting one hand to see the blood on his fingertips. A small smirk came to his lips. You might as well tell me what's on your mind, ya moody jackass. He sighed. I'll probably be taking whatever you say to the grave after this one. He scoffed at that. Like you died just from that, he grumbled. I've seen you get hit pretty bad sometimes, and come back from it just a little later, and you just took a Chidori to the lung not 15 minutes ago. Then it healed right in front of my eyes. What the hell's up with that? Naruto's smirk dropped and the blonde teen sighed. Guess I could tell you. Not like it matters anymore, he sighed, looking up at the dreary sky. You ever wonder how come all the villagers, even some of the seasoned Jonin, keep their distance from me? Sasuke arched his brow at him. What? Did you pull some kind of prank on them? He asked, to which Naruto shook his head. No, it's more like the worst prank in history was played on me when I was born, he said, his hand moving to his stomach. You know the old yarn about how the 4th Hokage defeated the Kyuubi at the cost of his own life, right? Well, that's not so true. He couldn't kill it, because it was a being made of the purest chakra. So he sealed it away into a newborn baby. Which just so happened to be me.
Sasuke widened his eyes ever so slightly as he put what had happened during their battle together. The healing, the cloak of chakra shaped like a fox, and the intense killing intent he had felt before the blonde had attacked him.
All this time, Sasuke sighed, looking down at his teammate, and you never said a word. Why? Naruto shook his head. I was terrified, he said, when I first found out about it. I was told that I had been responsible for all the lives lost because of the Kyuubi's attack. Thinking back on Mizuki's words to him back then, it was like getting hit with Sasuke's Chidori 1,000 times over. Iruka had been like the father he had always wanted to him, and for a horrible moment he had thought he was the one that had taken his parents from him. If it wasn't for Iruka-sensei, I probably would have gone over the edge. Naruto went on, when we formed Team 7, I thought about telling both you and Sakura, since Kakashi-sensei already knew since he was a Jonin, but I was just too scared about what you guys would think of me if you found out I had something like that tucked away in my body. Sasuke nodded. I can understand that, he said, sighing, it's sorta like my clan and the Mangekyo Sharingan. All that power comes with a steep price. Naruto nodded silently, his breath coming in ragged intakes of air. Sasuke looked down at him. Hey, you hang in there, got it? You'll heal up soon, right? He asked, beginning to worry. Naruto smiled and shook his head. Not this time. You got me good, you bastard. Sasuke's breath caught in his throat as the blonde Jinchuriki started coughing, blood splattering the front of his ruined jacket. Hey, this isn't a joke, you idiot. Sasuke snapped, leaning over his friend. Don't you dare die on me. Not after all the shit we've been through. Naruto chuckled. We've been through some pretty nasty shit, huh? He laughed, coughing again. Do me a favor, huh? What? Sasuke asked. Naruto looked at him pleadingly. I know you don't want to go back to the leaf, but please do it. Sakura-chan needs you. You need her. Even if you don't want to admit it. He grinned as the black-haired teen scowled, and take my body back. So not like I've got any family to mourn me, but I'd at least like a proper burial. Naruto's eyes began to close, but Sasuke grasped him by the shoulder. Don't you dare. He snarled, grasping him by the arms, and hauling him up and over his back, his black eyes glimmering. I'll take you back to your precious village, damn it, but you gotta hold on. Naruto shook his head tiredly. Don't think I can. You'd better. Sasuke snapped, and made his way to the wall of the valley. Now, hang on tight, or I'll drop you. Naruto tightened his arms around his friend's neck as well as could be expected. What with the little strength he had left? You should just let me rest. Rest is for the weak, Sasuke told him, and you're not weak. You're way stronger than I could ever hope to be. Naruto didn't answer, having slipped into a blissful state of unconsciousness, his breathing coming in shorter breaths. Pakun and Kakashi sped through the trees as they became more and more desperate to find the two missing students. Are we making any progress, yet? He asked the pug. We're getting closer, Pakun said, but we need to hurry, there's a storm coming in, and the rain'll wash away the scent if we take too much longer. Then we really need to pick up the pace, Kakashi said, pushing more chakra into his legs to speed himself up. Those two could easily kill each other if things go badly. Pakun nodded, then sniffed. Hey, there's someone up ahead. Is it them? Kakashi asked. But the pug simply darted down from the trees and hit the ground. Kakashi followed him and found the area around them desecrated. What the hell happened here? All of the trees around the area had been sliced, and cut down by what looked like a powerful wind technique. Pakun was sniffing the ground. Hey, I know this scent. It's that Nara kid. And someone from the sand village. The dog sniffed again, making his way toward a pile of logs, and he stopped short as a moan from the pile caught his attention. Hey, Kakashi, someone's still alive. No sooner had he said that than someone tumbled out of the pile of logs, beaten and bloody. Kakashi was moving double quick as the person would have hit the ground had he not acted. A curtain of light red hair fell from beneath a black cap atop the girl's head. Her face was fair, yet pale from blood loss, her breathing ragged and uneven as blood trickled from her lips. Around her hips was a metal plate with a single musical note etched into the metal. A sound Hittite. She's from the Auto. Kakashi breathed out, his conscience conflicting with his sense of duty to his students. He laid her down on the ground, and prepared to leave. It's better to leave her. Mother. Kakashi stopped in his tracks, Pakun at his heels. The dog summons looked up at him, gonna help her? The Jonin sighed, damn it. He turned around and reached into his pouch for his first aid scroll. I have to make this quick, he said, making the ram seal, shadow clone jutsu. X panting from exhaustion. Sasuke kept himself moving through the dense forest that led to Konoha, his neck pulsing painfully as the curse mark tried to take over again, making his movements all the slower.
Keep talking, Naruto, Sasuke grunted, jostling the blonde awake again. Tell me who you were gonna take to the Rinne festival this year.
Naruto blinked his clouded eyes, the blue having become dull. The Rinne festival. He shook his head. The vendors always chase me away. Not this time, Sasuke assured him, sweat beading his brow. We can all go together if you want. You, me, and Sakura. Hell, even Kakashi if we can get him away from that damned book. A small, weak smile played across his lips. That sounds really nice. He said tiredly, I get to go. With my family.
Sasuke almost laughed at being considered family to the blonde when he suddenly felt his teammate become much heavier as he slumped over, unbalancing the Uchiha. Hey, Naruto. Sasuke tumbled to the ground, doing his best to keep Naruto from falling.
He laid the blonde on the ground, his front covered in blood, and checked for a pulse. And found nothing. No, this can't happen. Sasuke rose to his feet, shouting, Hey, is anyone out there? He roared, Shikamaru, Choji, Kibaaa, someone help.
Sasuke. Kakashi's voice reached his ears as a small amount of hope came back and the Jonin landed neatly in front of him. What's going on?
It's Naruto. Sasuke yelled, he's got no pulse. Kakashi acted immediately. Setting down the girl Sasuke only just noticed he was carrying on his back, and hurried over to the prone blonde. Upon seeing the wound in his chest, he looked at Sasuke, disappointment clear on his face. We'll talk about this later, Sasuke, and you'd better hope he lives, or else not even I could, or would save you from Tsunade. Just do something already. The Uchiha snapped. I don't care what happens to me anymore, just help him. Kakashi didn't need to be told twice and charged his hand with lighting chakra. Stand back. He placed his hand over the boy's heart, and sent a surge pulsing through him, Naruto's body jolting. A single heartbeat. And then nothing. Damn it, again. He sent another pulse through him. Come on, dead last, Sasuke growled, watching his friend jolt from the shock. Don't do this. Again. The blonde was shocked once more as Kakashi started to become desperate. Come on, Naruto. Come back to us, he roared, shocking him again.
Sasuke sank to his knees, warm tears leaking down from his eyes. Damn it.
He's not gone. Kakashi snapped, seeing the blood tears leaking from the boy's eyes, which meant only one thing, come on, Naruto. He roared, and sent an even stronger shock through his body, head to toe.
Kakashi, Hakun said, resting a paw on his knee, that's enough. Let the boy rest, now.
The Jonin sat back, his hands smoking from his jutsu. This is my fault. He looked over at Sasuke, who was staring unbelieving at Naruto's body. I should have seen this coming sooner.
Sasuke looked up at him with changed eyes filled with sorrow. How is this your fault? I'm the one that did this. I killed my best friend. X equals. The Kyuubi watched as his cage began to dissolve, his eyes lowering to the prone body in front of him as a gate opened up at the end of the hallway. A petite figure made its way into his seal, a katana at their hip.
The Kyuubi snarled at the figure, come no closer, Shinigami. He growled, this boy belongs to me.
The Shinigami looked up at the beast without fear. I am afraid that I cannot do that. The Shinigami said in a feminine voice, his soul has only remained in this realm because of your will, but you cannot keep him here. Bringing back the dead is beyond you.
The fox grinned maliciously, is that so, little death god? His grin turned into a sneer. Do you not know this boy, Shinigami? His father was from a clan long forgotten. They had a dojutsu comparable to that damnable Sharingan the Uchiha coveted so.
The Shinigami cocked her head in a curious manner, and your point? A dojutsu is useless to a corpse.
The dojutsu can only be awakened when the bearer has come into contact with death. The fox grinned, leaning his mighty head down toward the boy, his chakra beginning to boil around him in a red, gold haze. And here you are, a god of death, so near to a bearer of the Karyugan.
What? The Shinigami finally seemed surprised. The Karyugan. Him? She asked, looking down at the boy. The Kyuubi nodded his head. Difficult as it is, this boy has the eye of the blood dragon, which will make him great. No longer will he be on the receiving end of the wrath of those that hate him. He will rise above them all, or crush them under his heel. The Shinigami scoffed as she regarded the boy. If you truly knew anything about Uzumaki Naruto, then you would know that he would never mistreat a power such as the Karyugan. she said, kneeling toward the boy, stroking his hair from his face. He is too kind and gentle for such a thing. She looked back up at the beast. He will be great, but not as you would have him, Kurama.
Kurama growled at the use of his true name, but allowed as the Shinigami were to be respected, even by his kind. Step away, now. I need to revive him. The Shinigami stepped back, allowing the small mercy as the fox's chakra spread from his body, and wrapped around the 13-year-old boy. As the Shinigami retreated back to her realm, she felt the boy's heart begin to beat again. A smile came to her lips as she hoped that it would be a long time before she claimed the young Uzumaki's life. X equals to Yuya of the Sound 4 had seen better days as she began to stir. Her entire body was racked with pain as the slightest movement nearly caused her to scream. Even though the pain was great, she forced herself to sit up, and take in her surroundings. She was no longer under the pile of trees that the Suna Kunoichi had knocked down on top of her. She was in a clearing.
Her wounds, though they still pained her, were bandaged and treated, making her wonder, just what the fucking hell's going on?
Her answer came as the scream of a young man reached her ears. She looked around, and caught sight of the Uchiha she was sent after. Along with Hitaki Kakashi kneeling around the blonde, she remembered jumping over her as she prepared to fight that lazy-ass Nara. The blonde in question was writhing in pain, his body convulsing in horrible ways as a veil of red chakra cocooned around him. What's happening to him? Sasuke demanded. It's the Kyuubi, Kakashi said while watching the wound on his chest close, leaving a faint, yet noticeable scar right next to the other Sasuke had put in his chest. It's saving him.
Sasuke sighed in relief. Good, that's good. As the relief of Naruto's renewed life flooded through him, so did the sheer exhaustion as he collapsed to the ground, falling unconscious.
Kakashi sighed at his two students. You too. Daughter going to send me to an early grave.
Yuya had been watching as the man turned to her. Ah, so you're awake, are you? He said, and she nodded. Good, because I can't carry all three of you at once, even with the aid of shadow clones. I had to be quick about fixing you up.
Yuya looked at the man in surprise. Why in the world would an enemy shinobi save her life? Especially considering she had aided in the death of his cage, and tried to kidnap a prominent clan heir?
What the hell do you want from me? Yuya asked, snarling at him, instinctively reaching for her flute, which, of course, was no longer there, but destroyed when she had been hit with Temari's wind jutsu.
Kakashi sighed, and sat beside his blonde student, no longer thrashing. I want nothing for the moment. But I think my Hokage will have a few questions for you since you work for her former teammate.
Former? Ah. Shit, you mean Tsunade, don't you? Yuya grumbled. What's to stop me from getting my ass out of here before you get a chance to take me to her? Well, first of all, Kakashi smirked beneath his mask. Your left leg has multiple fractures, while your right leg is snapped in half. He pointed to the makeshift splint he had put in place, so you really won't be going anywhere for the time being. He said before gaining a far more serious expression. Second, I could easily put a kunai through your skull before you took 2 steps. Yuya gulped as a kunai flashed into his hand. Are these good enough reasons to stay put? She nodded wordlessly as he smiled at her and put the blade away. Pakun, he called out, and a small brown dog came bounding out of the trees. Go catch up to the medical teams, and lead them back here. Tell them I have 3 injured shinobi, and be sure to come prepared to treat extreme chakra exhaustion. The pug saluted with a raised paw. You got it, Kakashi. He bounded back into the trees, leaving the 3 humans alone again as Yuya stared after the little animal. Talking dogs, all right, then. She reached up to her head, thinking she had gotten hit harder than she thought. 2. Legacy of the 4th, the Chinook clan of Kaminari no Kuni. Tsunade Senju, Godime Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, had half a mind to retire the moment she heard the full story of what had transpired during the retrieval mission she had assigned to Shikamaru and Naruto only 2 days ago. So far she had 3 young genin in the ICU, and 1 badly injured ninkin, while the rest of the team only suffered minor injuries, Shikamaru coming out of it with only a self-inflicted wound, a broken finger. And then there was the issue of the person they had been sent out to retrieve. Sasuke Uchiha, who was currently standing before her, covered in bandages, and looking more shameful than she had ever seen the boy. From the short time that she had known him, She had seen his arrogance, and his foolish pride which all Uchihas seemed to have an abundance of. Now, the boy looked like a proverbial kicked puppy.
Explain to me, she said in a low tone. Why did you leave this village? Sasuke shook his head. I was jealous. Tsunade raised an eyebrow at him. That's your explanation, Uchiha? Jealousy? She stood up from her seat and walked slowly around her desk. Sasuke looked up at her and received a sharp crack across his face.
Do you think I'm stupid? She snapped as the boy held his stinging cheek. Jealousy is capable of many things, Sasuke, but I have Neji Hyuga, a prodigy such as yourself, in the hospital with a gaping hole just above his heart, and Choji Akamichi is suffering from extreme chakra poisoning from his clan's secret food pills.
She placed her hand under his chin to make him look at her. And do you know what happened to Naruto? She asked bitingly. Of course you do. You're the one that nearly killed him.
Sasuke flinched before he was slapped again. He didn't mind, though, he had it coming, and much more.
Give me one good reason I shouldn't have you thrown in prison for desertion. Tsunade growled, daring him.
Sasuke shook his head. I can't. And you should have me imprisoned. Sasuke looked up at her. I really was jealous of how much stronger than me Naruto was becoming. He looked down at his feet. We'd competed against each other for the longest time, ever since academy, and I was always miles ahead of him. When we were put on the same team, I was still ahead of him, but he started catching up. So you decided to kill him? No, Sasuke snapped. I thought I could do it, but I couldn't. I'm not like Itachi. Tsunade regarded the boy for a moment, her arms crossed. Tell me something. Do you know what could have happened to you if you had succeeded in going to Orochimaru?
Sasuke nodded his head. He would have taken my body from me. And you still went to him, Tsunade growled. You're a fool, Sasuke Uchiha. I've read reports about you during your academy days.
You were hailed as one of the few geniuses born once ever generation in this village. Neji, cursed to the branch family of the Hyuga, is one of them, and you. I have no doubts that you could be a great shinobi someday. But within the last 48 hours, you have become this village's greatest shame. If it weren't for the fact that the civilians would throw a fit, and possibly riot, I'd have you clapped in irons for the rest of your days. She went around her desk to sit back down, and sighed. As it stands, I can't run that risk, not when our village is still recovering from the combined attack of Suna and Oto.
So, this is what your punishment shall be, Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke squared his shoulders, prepared for anything the Godem might throw at him. From this moment on, you are banned from all Chunin exams, and the only way for you to rise through the ranks is to earn it in the field. Should
your Jonin speak well of you, you may possibly be promoted, but if not, you will remain a genin. She said, glaring as the boy nodded, unfazed. Furthermore, you will undergo psychological evaluation by our best men in the T&I department, and if they deem you unfit for active duty, then that will be the end of your career as a shinobi. Is that understood? Yes, Hokage-sama, he bowed. Good. She rose from her seat. Now get out. I have to go in and see the progress of the people that nearly died bringing your sorry hide back. Sasuke hurried out of the woman's office, hoping to avoid anyone else as he made his way home, escorted by a squad of Anbu for good measure. As he passed through the village, he was greeted by smiles from the civilians, and a few welcome backs. It made him sick. Really, what had H done to warrant such kindness? He reached his home, and went immediately to the bathroom, staring into the mirror. His eyes, black as onyx, turned red as he activated his Sharingan, and a moment later, the Sharingan morphed as blood began leaking from his eyes, taking the appearance of 3 intersecting ellipses. His Mangekyo Sharingan. He had been surprised to learn that he had activated the advanced Dujutsu, but then again, his best friend had died right in front of him. If only for a few minutes. Now he was the same as his brother. It had cost him more, however. Itachi had slaughtered his entire family. Sasuke had watched his best friend die, and lost every last ounce of respect for himself. He knew that there were a few members of his clan that actually had the Mangekyo because of the war, but they had been the lucky ones. None of them had to actually kill their precious people. Precious people, he almost smiled at that. Naruto considered him to be one of his precious people because of their friendship, as well as Sakura and Kakashi, and many of their classmates. Did he deserve that? Absolutely not. If he was allowed to remain a shinobi after all of this, He knew that he would be treading on glass as thin as rice paper. One wrong step, and it would end him. So he would fight for it. No more arrogance, or hatred. That was what his brother wanted from him. And he would not get it. If he met him again, as he had when the man went after Naruto, then he would fight with everything he had to bring him in. But not before asking him. Why?
X equals Naruto felt extremely comfortable for once. He hadn't known he could sleep so well, but his bed never felt so good before. He stretched and opened his eyes, to find himself in a hospital room. His body, to his surprise, was covered in bandages, as was his face when he looked toward the mirror in the corner of the room. "Well, I guess I survived, huh?" he said aloud, smirking. "Guess Sasuke got me to the village faster than I thought?" "Hey, shithead, keep it down, will ya?" A loud voice from beside him snapped, startling him. "Some of us are trying to fucking sleep." The blonde whipped around, making his head spin with dizziness, and found an irritated redhead glaring at him from her own hospital bed. Naruto blinked in confusion for a moment before it dawned on him. "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" Naruto roared, nearly deafening the girl. "What the hell are you doing here?" Tayuya growled and stuffed a pillow over her head. "I was sleeping until a blonde loud mouth decided to start squawking like a fucking cuckoo." "I mean, why aren't you in jail?" Naruto growled, crossing his arms. "Ain't you an enemy or something?" Tayuya sat up and winced as her legs pained her. "Definitely an, or something, shithead," she said. "That one-eyed prick decided I was worth saving for information, so he patched me up and brought me back here with you and your dumb-ass friend."
"Hey, don't call me a shithead," Naruto roared. "I just call him like I say him, shithead." Tayuya smirked, enjoying the blonde's reactions, "and you really look like a shithead."
"Naya, eat it ya red-haired skank. What'd you call me?"
"What's the matter? Can't take the truth?" Naruto grinned.
"If I could walk, I'd come over there and wipe that fucking grin right off that ugly mug of yours, asshole." Tayuya snarled, to which Naruto sprang up onto his bed. "Oh, looky here, I can walk and move around real easy," Naruto said, hopping up and down, rubbing in the fact that he could use his legs before nimbly dodging a pillow she threw at him. "Haha, ya missed me."
"Arg, wait, till I get my hands on you, ya cunt munchin' little."
The door suddenly slammed open in the middle of their argument, and Tsunade stood there with a very angry look upon her face. She looked at the pair, and growled. "I might have known it was you two causing all the trouble this early in the morning," she said, moving into the room, and whacked Naruto on the head with her clipboard. "Sit down, knucklehead, and stop antagonizing your roommate."
"Ah, she started it," Naruto said accusingly, pointing at the grinning girl, who stuck her tongue out at him, earning herself a whack on the head as well.
"Hey, you can stop baiting him," she told the girl. "It'll only cause more noise, and that is something I won't tolerate in my hospital." "Yes, ma'am," both said, holding their sore heads, before glaring at each other. "Now," she said, making the two snap to attention, "Naruto-kun, I need to know, what happened between you and Sasuke? I heard his side of the story, but I want to make sure it matches up." So Naruto told her about the fight. Or, he started to. As he spoke, his eyes began to turn from their usual blue hues, to a blood red in color. What happened next startled even the blonde as the room began to waver, and they were all suddenly back at the Valley of the End. "What in the?" Tsunade started. "It's a genjutsu," Tayuya said in wonder as she watched an illusionary Naruto and Sasuke face off, a powerful one. Sasuke had the blonde by the throat, his arm charged with lightning chakra, and Naruto himself was boiling with a strange red chakra she'd never seen before. As Sasuke made the attack, Naruto's arm shot up and moved the attack away from his heart, but the wound would have still been fatal, which horrified Tsunade and even Tayuya as they looked at the real blonde in the room. His eyes were wide as he watched the scene unfold again. "Are you doing this?" Tayuya asked, not knowing the blonde had such skill with illusions. Naruto looked at her with his red eyes. I don't know. I've never been any good with genjutsu before."
Tsunade winced as Naruto's illusion self went down on all fours as the Nine-Tails chakra cloak formed around him. "It has to be," Tsunade said. "You were the only ones there to witness this battle, so this must be a projection from your memories," she said, looking at the blonde, and her eye widened. "Naruto, what happened to your eyes?"
"My eyes?" Naruto asked. Tayuya nodded. "Fuck yeah, they're red as blood, and glowing." Do you feel any chakra flowing toward your eyes right now? Tsunade asked. Naruto sat for a moment as he watched himself and Sasuke leap at each other, the Uchiha flying at him with those hand-like wings. When the battle was over, and his conversation with Sasuke started, Tsunade watched the pair in interest, finding that Sasuke had left a few things out, such as the fact that he was the one that had carried Naruto out of the valley, and that he now knew about the Kyuubi.
Finally, as Naruto slumped over on Sasuke's shoulders, the scenes changed. And it was one that Tsunade never wanted to see. Tayuya shrieked in alarm as she found herself surrounded by water in front of a gigantic prison cell where two enormous red eyes gleamed menacingly. The nine-tailed fox then began speaking to the diminutive Shinigami about the power her presence had unleashed inside of Naruto.
Naruto's hand raised up to his eyes, not believing what he was hearing from the beast, or the Shinigami. He had a dujutsu from his father. As the vision began to fade, Naruto's eyes returned to normal, and they found themselves back in the hospital room. Tsunade was looking at the blonde again, a somber look on her face. Naruto-kun, I don't know what to say.
You knew them, right? He asked. My parents. Her answer was a slow nod. I did. And so did Jiraiya. But your father never showed signs of a dujutsu like this.
Tayuya sat back, thinking, well, that giant fuzzball did say that it could only be activated by coming close to death. And from what we just saw, shithead here came real fucking close to death, literally.
Tsunade nodded, looking at the girl. Have you heard of this dujutsu before?
Tayuya held up her hands. Listen, I get that I'm a prisoner of war and all that, but come on, I'm not given our info for free here.
Tsunade crossed her arms under her bust, glaring at the girl. And I suppose you think we've been mistreating you.
No. Tayuya said, you guys have treated me way better than that fucker I used to work for. Hell, he would have put a knife in my head himself for just having a fractured leg, let alone a fucking snapped leg. The blonde woman huffed, then what do you want? Sanctuary, the young woman said, I want to be as far away from Orochimaru as fucking possible. And I want this seal on the back of my neck gone if your seal masters can do it. Tsunade smirked, and I suppose you'd like to become a shinobi of this village, then? Tayuya shrugged. I've gotta make a living somehow, don't I? She said, crossing her arms as well, I don't do well with charity.
Tsunade sighed and smirked for a moment. You know what? I like you, alright. You have my word that you can stay on in Konoha as one of our kunoichi, and that we'll do our utmost to get rid of that mark on your neck. In exchange, you will provide us with information on Orochimaru. And anything else that you think we might need to know. Do we have a deal?
Deal. Tayuya said, reaching out to shake her hand. Good. Tsunade smiled. Now about Naruto's dujutsu? Tayuya shrugged again. As far as I know, a Karyugan user hasn't been seen for decades. She said, looking at the blonde genin, but what I don't get is why it showed up in this guy. Why do you say that? Tsunade asked. It was distinct only to one clan, and they were from Kaminari. Tayuya said, and ain't you guys on bad terms, or something? Tsunade nodded, sighing, yes, we are. After the kidnapping incident with the Hyuga, all Kumo shinobi have a kill on sight mark. She said, looking at Naruto, but I do know that Naruto's father came from a small village in Kumo before it was destroyed and made his way here with the refugees. Can you tell me about him? Naruto asked hopefully, only to deflate as Tsunade shook her head. Why not, Granny? Sighing, and ignoring the jibe at her age, she sat down beside him, because it isn't my place. Not really. Jiraiya will have to tell you. He was closer to him than I was. I was closer to your mother. She said, smiling, after all, she and I were distant relatives, by blood, no less. Really? Naruto brightened, then I really can call you Granny. You do and I'll mop the floor with you, she growled. If anything, I'm your cousin, distant cousin. Naruto just grinned. Yeah, just keep telling yourself that, Granny. Scowling, she decided to change the subject. Anyway, Tayuya, was it? What else can you tell us about this Karyugan? Tayuya shrugged, slightly amazed that the blonde loudmouth was still alive at this point. Only rumors. I heard from Kabuto once that he wanted to try and find a survivor because there was a chance that Karyugan users could control blood. Blood? Naruto and Tsunade grimaced. That doesn't sound very pleasant. I wouldn't say it was. Tayuya went on. Other than that, their genjutsu were supposed to be so strong that they rivaled anyone with a Sharingan. Tsunade rubbed the bridge of her nose. This was going to cause problems, she just knew it. Kumo were a very warlike people, and they had a lust for Kekkei Genkei. Much like her own village, but worse. It was rumored that the Sandaime Reikage had actually set up a breeding program to cultivate multiple clans that had such abilities, and if word got out that Konoha had another Dujutsu, and one that once belonged to the Land of Lightning, it would only be a matter of time before they came for him. Add to the fact that Naruto was an Uzumaki in name, and in blood, it was a disaster waiting to happen. The only plus side to this was that the village would treat Naruto slightly better in knowing that he had a rare Kekkei Genkei. So? Naruto asked. What was this clan called? To Yuya sighed, it was the Chinook clan, and they were rumored to pretty timid as far as being active shinobi went, but if you got into a fight with one of them, look out. You're also an Uzumaki, Tsunade put in. They were the greatest sealing masters the shinobi world had ever seen, and savage in battle, with tempers so quick it wasn't funny. I know about them, Tayuya put in. Orochimaru has a girl in one of his bases that's supposed to be an Uzumaki. She's got red hair, like me, and pretty fair skin, but other than that, she didn't seem all that fucking good at Kunoichi. Red hair, huh? Naruto asked. Looking at the girl, does that mean you could be one, too? Ha. Tayuya looked at him like he was stupid. What the fuck are you talking about, shithead? Naruto shrugged, ignoring his, apparently, new nickname. Well, you said the Uzumaki have red hair, he said, pointing at his head. I've got blonde hair, but you've got red hair, just like you said they did, so. Tsunade nodded, smirking. He does have a point. I'll have to do some blood work on that to see if he's right, she said, smiling at the redhead, and if he's right, then I've got all the more reason to protect you from Orochimaru. When do you want to start? Tayuya asked, not eager to have more needles pushed into her arm, but she figured these people would be nicer about it than either Kabuto or Orochimaru. Tsunade checked the chart at the end of Tayuya's bed, and sighed. It's going to take a full week for us to heal up your legs, and it'll take another day or so for Jiraiya to examine the seal, and there's really no telling how long it'll take him to devise a better countermeasure for it. Sasuke will take the priority level higher than usual, but it'll still take a while, she said, looking at the girl. Really, any information you can give us on the mark will be more than helpful. Tayuya shrugged. I'm a level 3 master at sealing, but all I know about this thing on my neck is that it's a modified 5-layered servitude seal, she said. Each one is different than the other. Mine is low level compared to what Kimimara's was, and he had the same one that Uchiha did. Mine is more like an enslavement mark. If I disobeyed a direct order given by Orochimaru while he was keeping tabs on me, I'd be dead within minutes. What about the physical transformations I've heard about from the others? Tsunade asked, and what we witnessed in Naruto's genjutsu. It's the final layer of the seal that does that, and it's probably the most dangerous to mess with. Tayuya sighed. The last fucker that did had to be restrained, and put down because he went wild, and started killing anyone that got near him. He even nearly got Kimimaro, and he was the most powerful shinobi under Orochimaru's command, she said. I don't know much about that last seal, but I do know that it draws in a special chakra and enhances the body while pumping me full of some kind of drug. I've only ever used that last seal 3 times, and each time it's harder to control myself when I come down from the high. Tsunade, throughout Tayuya's description, had been jotting it all down for Jiraiya's benefit. She had a bad feeling that she knew where that strange chakra was coming from. As she rose to leave, she gave both children a smile, and hoped that they could get along. For a while, and left them, her mind swimming with everything that she had just found out. 1. Sasuke had told her a half-truth, and had made him seem worse than what was said, having told her that Kakashi was the one that found them in the valley. 2. Naruto had an incredibly rare dujutsu, apparently from Minato's side of the family that had lain dormant until now, and it was powerful. 3. The seal would be damned hard to remove, but not impossible given Tayuya's information. And 4. There were other Uzumaki out there, and Orochimaru had one of them. Part of her family. That would have to change. Meanwhile, outside of Naruto and Tayuya's hospital room sat Jiraiya, having overheard everything that had been said. He ran his hand over his face tiredly, and figured it was high time to tell Naruto just who he was. And hope that he could bear with it all. Eat shit. Ya piss-brained moron. Jiraiya nearly fell from his perch as another argument started up between the two, and smiled. Damned if that girl doesn't remind me of the kid's mother. He laughed, peeking inside to see Naruto taunting her as Tayuya threw whatever she could get her hands on at him. "You're not trying, Red. Throw something already," Naruto taunted, and was promptly smacked in the face by a bedpan. "Gah. That better have been clean." "It wasn't." Tayuya laughed. "Gross. 3. Who you really are." "So you haven't been to see him, yet?" Ino asked as she and Sakura made their way through the hospital. "I would have thought that was what you'd do first thing." Sakura bit her lip. "I know, but you didn't see them when Kakashi-sensei brought them back," she said, sighing. "Both of them looked so horrible, and neither one of them was conscious." "Yeah, but Sasuke-kun is—" Sakura stopped her with a sad look. "You don't get it. Ino Bunta, Sasuke and Naruto fought," she said, trying to drive her point home. "I know we both say that no one could hope to beat him, but looking at those two when they came back, they were both half dead." Ino looked more than a little shocked, but, "Gods, Sakura, you can't be serious. I've seen them, and they're both strong, but they wouldn't go that far." "They did," Sakura sighed, "and it wasn't the first time. Back after the attack on the village, they fought on top of the hospital, and if it wasn't for Sensei, they would have killed each other right there and then." Ino sighed and looked ahead of them as they neared Naruto's room. "Okay, I get it. How bad off was." A bedpan flew out the door as the blonde in question came tumbling out of the room. "Ya missed again, Tayuya." He laughed as barreled down the hall, followed by a young woman in a wheelchair, brandishing an IV stand. "Get your ass back here, ya dip shit," she roared, wheeling after him. "Naruto, what the hell?" "Hey, Sakura-chan, Ino-chan, bye." Naruto blew past them like a whirlwind, totally fine for the most part. "When I get my hands on you," the girl shouted, wheeling by just as fast, "I'll shove this so far up your ass they'll have to hook the IV bag up through your fucking nose." "You gotta catch me first." Naruto laughed. "Come back here." Ino and Sakura looked after the pair as they rounded the corner, Tayuya going up on 2 wheels as she sped after him. "What the hell was that about?" Ino asked of her friend. "I don't know," Sakura said, "but whoever that girl was, I really don't want to get on her bad side." Ino nodded, and hefted the bouquet of flowers she held. "Should we just leave these in his room?" "I guess," she said. "I don't think he'll be back for a while, though." Ino nodded. "Naruto makes the weirdest friends." Sakura giggled. "What does that say about us?" "Well," Ino said, tapping her chin, "weird can be hot, right?" "True." Sakura smiled, and went into Naruto's room, placing the flowers in the vase beside the window. Ino did the same, and headed down the hall, off to see Choji? "Yeah," she smiled, "I've been worried about him ever since they came back a few days ago." With that, she strode down the hall toward their friend's room, leaving Sakura behind. Sakura gave her a small wave as she went her way, and turned to leave. "Sakura." The rosette froze in place as she turned to face him. Like Naruto, he was covered in bandages, his arms and legs completely concealed, his face slightly covered. "Sasuke." Sasuke did not meet her gaze. It was apparent why. Their last encounter had been anything but pleasant. The memories of that night flashed through the girl's mind like lightning. "You look horrible," she said, mentally kicking herself for such a comment. But to her surprise, Sasuke actually chuckled out a laugh. "I feel horrible," he said, smirking. "Are you here to see Naruto-kun?" Sakura asked, pointing down the hall. "If so, you just missed him." Sasuke looked over his shoulder for a moment, and sighed. "I did come to see him, but would you take a walk with me?" For a moment, Sakura considered refusing. The last time she had tried or said anything to the Uchiha, it hadn't ended well for her, or anyone for that matter. But the way he was looking was downright out of character. Normally, the Sasuke Uchiha she knew was stoic, and cold. This Sasuke was beaten was the only thing that she could think of to describe it. Sure, but are you okay to move around?" Sasuke nodded. "I have a detail of Enbu tailing me, so I'll have more than enough support if I need medical attention," he said, looking at her, "and you'll be safe from me as well." Sakura shook her head. "I wasn't worried about that." Sasuke sighed, and made room for her to pass. "Are you sure about that?" he asked her. "After all the trouble I caused, I figured you'd be more worried about the Naruto more than me." Sakura shook her head. "He seemed fine just now, but I don't know what happened between you two, but can you tell me that it's done with, now?" Sasuke looked at her sadly. "Yeah, it's all over. He beat me completely, and finally knocked some sense into me. So, about that walk. Sakura smiled, and looped her arm through his. I'd love to. Come back and let me fucking hit you. Tayuya roared as she and Naruto practically flew through the streets of Konoha, leaving dust trails in their wake. Naruto laughed, keeping just ahead of her enough to keep her chasing him. Wow, you're tenacious. You know that, Tibeo. You want tenacious, I'll show ya tenacious. Tayuya yelled, throwing the IV stand at him. Get back here. Naruto ducked under the throne stand and grinned. Nyahaha, you missed again. This isn't kunai practice. Tayuya snapped, now stop running. Stop chasing me first. Naruto laughed. Tayuya was only too glad to oblige as chasing the blonde through and out of the hospital had tired her out, badly. The only problem was that she had forgotten about the piece of metal she'd thrown had landed in the street ahead of her, too late for her to stop in time. Oh shit. The rod tangled in the wheelchair, and sent the girl flying. Naruto saw this and bolted back as the girl threatened to hit the ground. Tayuya closed her eyes, ready for pain, but felt herself being caught by a pair of strong arms. She opened her eyes and found herself staring straight into the Naruto's blue orbs. You okay? The girl felt her stomach flutter. Yeah, fine. Couldn't be better. Naruto nodded, and fixed her wheelchair, sitting her back into it properly. And then got smacked for it. Hey, what the hell was that for? Tayuya smirked at him, satisfied, for being an ass to an injured girl, schmuck. Hey, I saved you from falling, Naruto pointed out. You're the fucking reason I was falling in the first place, dumb ass. Tayuya retorted, taking another swing at him which Naruto dodged. Hey, hold still. I still wanna hit you. Not happening. Naruto snapped, crossing his arms in a negative gesture. I get smacked around enough by my teammates, and my jerk sensei. I'll be damned if I let a girl with broken legs do it to me. Tayuya had a very snappy comeback planned, but her stomach growled instead. She blushed as red as her hair as Naruto grinned at her. Hungry, huh? He asked, gaining a slow, embarrassed nod from her. All right, how about I take you for some real food, then? That hospital food is worse than field rations, at least they taste good. Where you gonna take me? Tayuya asked, and won't the doctors get pissed about us being gone? Naruto shrugged, stepping behind her chair, and began pushing. You kidding? I've broken out of that place so many times it stopped being funny. He said, smirking, and there's a great ramen stand around the corner that makes the best ramen you'll ever have. Ramen? Tayuya gave him a questioning look. You know you're supposed to take girls to fancier places than a ramen stand for meals, right? Again, he shrugged. It's one of two places that let me eat there, and the barbecue place is clear across the village. He said, smirking, besides, the ramen is really good. Tayuya sighed, too hungry to put up a good argument when he was offering to pay for a meal. Hey there, brat. A boisterous voice called out. Naruto turned and grinned. Hey, pervy sage. Naruto called out in greeting, making Tayuya snort at his name. Damn it, brat. How many times have I told you not to call me that? Jiraiya roared at his apprentice. What will the ladies think of me then? As Tayuya turned around in her chair to look at the person who had arrived, Naruto just laughed, that you're nothing but a little pervert. The man known as Pervy Sage was a big man at an even 6 foot, and built strong, with long, wild spiky hair tied back into a tail, the word oil etched into his headband. He clutched at his heart as if wounded. Ah, now that hurts, Naruto. How many times have I told you this? He asked dramatically before striking an odd kabuki pose. I am no mere pervert, he said, grinning. I am a super pervert, haha. Naruto and Tayuya both deadpanned at him, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is my second sensei, legendary perverted toad sage, Jiraiya. He said, giving a mock applause. How lucky am I? This is Jiraiya? Tayuya thought. I'm starting to see a pattern with these three ninja. They're all batshit insane. Mommy, that old man is funny. Hush, dear, we just ignore people like that, remember? Yes, mommy. Naruto felt his eyebrow twitching at his sensei's antics. Really, could you get any more humiliating? Naruto asked, rubbing his forehead. Anyway, what are you doing here, pervy sage? I thought you were out of the village again? Jiraiya placed his hands on his hips. Well, I couldn't very well stay away when I heard about all this chaos you and that teammate of yours caused. Now could I? He asked, smirking, and I have to say, You two really put each other through the ringer, I hear. Got a new dojutsu, right? Naruto nodded. Yeah. Granny said you could. Tell me about my dad? He looked up at the man solemnly. Jiraiya returned the look, and sighed. Honestly, Naruto, I wanted to tell you the first time we met. But, Sarutobi-sensei forbade me to do so until he thought you were ready to know. He said, ushering them down the streets to Ichiraku's ramen. If the village itself knew about it, you'd be seen as near royalty. But if people outside the village knew that your father sired you, then there would be people coming after you more and more because they hated or feared him. Tayuya looked back over her shoulder at him. Not that I need to know, or anything, but was the guy really that powerful of a shinobi? Jiraiya nodded, and pointed up, fourth from the left, and you'll see him. Naruto whipped around, following his finger, toward the Hokage monument. Fourth from. His eyes landed on the man he had looked up to the most for the longest time, the fourth Hokage. You're joking. He looked back at the man. You've got to be joking. He was my dad. Jiraiya nodded. He was, and he was my finest student, as you well know, Jiraiya said, sighing. I understand if you don't believe me, but know that you are Minato Namikaze's son. Naruto turned a snarl on the man, his eyes turning blood red. Then tell me something, he growled, his voice suddenly booming. Why, in all of creation, did he seal that damned 9 tails inside of me? He growled again, drawing the attention of the passing crowds, all of whom knew the boy for what he held, but shrunk back in fear as they saw his blood-red eyes gleaming, and heard the sound of his thunderous voice. Jiraiya sighed, and placed his hand on the boy's head, dispelling the out-of-control genjutsu that was being cast. You really need to learn how to control those eyes of your kid, he said as Naruto's eyes returned to normal. Seriously, Naruto. Do you know just how loud your voice was becoming because of that genjutsu? Naruto looked at him in confusion. But I suck at genjutsu? Tayuya reached back and smacked him on the shoulder. Not anymore, shithead, she told him when he turned. Remember, those new eyes of yours cast a genjutsu that's almost as powerful as the Sharingan that your pansy-ass Uchiha pal has. She stuck a finger in her ear. I think the whole village might have heard you talking if the ringing in my ears is anything to go on. She's right, Jiraiya said, sighing. Not that I mind the village finding out who you are, honestly. These fools need a wake-up call. He said, and started down the street. Come on, we'll talk more over a few dozen bowls of ramen. Sound good? I'm all for it. Tayuya crossed her arms. After a few days of that tasteless gunk they call food, a bowl of ramen or two sounds like a fucking feast.
Jiraiya chuckled as he led the way, the 2 younger shinobi trailing behind him slowly, since Naruto was still pushing Tayuya's wheelchair. Tayuya looked up at him for a moment and saw his eyes downcast. Hey. You gonna be okay, shithead? Naruto shrugged, not sure. I guess it's just too much for me to take in all at once. He sighed, looking up at the monument. Lord Fourth had always been my idol as a shinobi. I mean, whenever I heard about what he did in the war, and how he gave his life to defeat the 9 tails, I always thought that if I wanted anyone to be my father, it'd be him. He was my hero. And now I find out that he's
your dad. Tayuya sighed. Yeah, guess I could understand that all right. I mean, I never knew my parents, so I always thought about what they'd be like when I was little. Did they want me? Naruto supplied. Did they love me? Tayuya short back, or would they even care about what happened to me? Naruto nodded, sighing a little as he did. I've wondered that every day of my life since I found out I even had parents. He said as they came up on the ramen stand, but I still don't understand why he would do something like this to his own son. Jiraiya heard him and sighed, gesturing for them to go inside. Naruto helped Tayuya out of her chair and onto a stool. Old man Ichiraku. Naruto called out, smiling as the man came out of the back. 5 bowls of pork miso ramen with all the fixings, please. Shark fin for me. Jiraiya smiled. 2 supersized bowls. The old man smiled and got to work. Comin' right up, boys, and what will the little lady be having? Tayuya looked at the pair. You're really gonna eat that much? Naruto nodded. You kiddin'? This is just the start. Order anything you want. Jiraiya smiled at her. It's all on me, and I doubt even Naruto could eat enough to break my bank. That a challenge, pervy sage? Naruto grinned. I still hold the record of 30 bowls in one sitting. Jiraiya grinned at him. I was wondering who broke my old record. He laughed. I should have known. Your mother had a love of ramen. Just like you did, he said, startling the ramen chef. It's all right, it's high time he knows. He turned his attention back to the boy while Tayuya made her order. Your parents came here a lot after they married. Really? Naruto asked. Sure did, Jiraiya chuckled. Especially after she became pregnant with you. He reached inside his coat, and pulled out a picture, showing it to the blonde. That's them there, and me, too. Even after Minato became a Jonin, we were all as close as family. Naruto took the photo, and had to bite his lip. He'd never seen anything like a family picture, but the sight of the red-haired woman, obviously pregnant, sitting in between the white-haired sage, and the blonde man, all of whom were smiling hugely, made a lump grow in his throat. How come you never showed up when, I didn't know, Jiraiya said, sighing. Sarutobi-sensei, bless the man, thought it best that I didn't know about you until everything had calmed down after the Nine Tails attacked, and when I found out, you can bet I rushed back here double quick. It was just 13 years too late to be anything but a mentor to you. He said, looking down at the boy, don't blame the old man for this, because I'm sure he had his reasons. I'm here now, and that's what's really important. Their orders arrived, and Naruto began eating slower than he usually did, while Tayuya slurped away at hers. So, how close were you to my parents? And my mom, what was her name? Jiraiya sighed and set his chopsticks down. That's a loaded question. Well, your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, the last full-blooded Uzumaki I ever knew, and Naruto. I have to tell you that you look almost identical to your dad, but everything else is your mother. He laughed at the boy's expression as he blushed. As for how close we were. The man grew quiet, and looked down at his meal, then at his apprentice. It was practically me that named you. They made me your godfather. Naruto looked up at him, his eyes widening. You mean? We're family, Naruto, Jiraiya confirmed. Even while training you to use Rasengan, I thought of you as my own, just like Minato. Had I known you were alive all this time, nothing would have stopped me from taking you away from all of this pain. But I didn't, and nothing I can do will ever make up for it. You can stick around, Naruto said, his eyes brimming. I mean, there's other Uzumaki around, sure, but who's gonna tell me more about my mom and dad? As the pair spoke, Tayuya could only listen, and feel like she shouldn't even be there. Really, it was none of her business if the blonde moron had more family, or if his old man was a famous war hero. She just wanted to know what happiness felt like. The leaves are starting to change color. Sakura noted as she and Sasuke strolled around the park. Winter's not too far off, is it? Sasuke shook his head. No, it's not. Hey, what do you think about taking Naruto around the Rinne festival when it rolls around? He asked, surprising her with his question. He scratched the back of his head. I kinda said you and I would go with him, and maybe drag Kakashi with us, just so he'd have someone to go with. It's fine if you don't. That sounds nice. Sakura smiled at him, nodding. I think I'd like that. After all, you two have been through so much together. She said, recalling a few of their missions. Remember our first time catching Tora? Sasuke shivered. Actually, I try not to. Sakura giggled. Well, I remember it perfectly. She said proudly, strolling over to a bench. You two were so gung-ho about catching that silly cat that you got in each other's way so much that Kakashi had to step in and catch him instead. Then he threw the cat on both of you. She laughed as Sasuke took a seat beside her, scowling at the memory. I had scratches all over me, he grumbled, stupid Kakashi. Sakura shook her head, smiling still. You guys were always so far ahead of me in strength. I always felt like I was holding you back until we went to wave, and I got the tree walking exercise down so fast. She leaned back as a breeze kicked up, enjoying it for the moment. Sasuke sighed and leaned back as well. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. Not strong enough to make you stay, she said, remembering the night of his departure. I was such a weakling, I still am, compared to you and Naruto. You're good for other things, Sasuke said. Like what? Sakura asked with a slant-eyed glance. Go on. Sasuke gulped and said, well, you're really good at explaining things, even to me and Naruto, and you know how we are. Sakura eyed him for a moment before letting it go. I guess you're right about that. If I weren't around, you too would be helpless. Sasuke smirked at her. I wouldn't go that far. The girl giggled. You know, this is the first time we've talked like this, she said, smiling at him. I always thought that you found me annoying, but here we are. Sasuke shrugged. Things change, he said simply, and I wanted to apologize. For hitting you that night. he said, blushing as the girl blinked at him in surprise. You were just trying to protect me, and I had no right to do that to you. I'm so sorry, Sakura-chan. He almost swallowed his tongue as the affectionate came out, sounding like he was gagging. Sakura blushed lightly for a moment, then broke out laughing, making Sasuke growl. Sasuke-kun, you don't have to force yourself to be nice, you know. She laughed, just be yourself, that's always worked before. Sasuke shook his head, and looked at her sadly, being myself nearly got 3 people killed, Sakura. And one of them was my best friend, and closest person I had to a brother left in this world other than Itachi. I don't want to be that anymore. Who said you have to be? Sakura asked, reaching out to take his hand in hers. Sasuke-kun, you need to know now, that you don't have to take everything on yourself. You want to take down your brother for what he did your family, I get that, but you don't have to do it alone. Naruto and I will be there for you, whether or not it's chasing after your brother. Sakura smiled as he gripped her hand in return. Ask us for anything, and we'll do our best to help you do it. But all of us, she said, rising, and pulling him with her, from this point on, need to get stronger. That's why I'm going to ask Tsunade-sama to take me on as her apprentice. You are? Sasuke asked, surprised, but you hate training? Sakura shook her head, doesn't matter. I'm tired of being useless to you and Naruto, so I'm going to do my best for both of you, as your friend and teammate, and for myself. I'm tired of being left behind, too. Sasuke was more than a little stunned, but smiled nonetheless. Of all the people to actually say they're weak, it's both of my teammates. You're both stronger than I am. You've got wills made of steel, where mine is shattered as easily as glass. Then you just have to get stronger, too, right? Sakura chirped, giving him a tug. Come on, let's go see if we can find Naruto? Sasuke nodded. It was high time he and Naruto settled their differences, even if it meant getting punched again. And done. Next time, Naruto and Kurama come face to face again. Tsunade's brow twitched violently as she took in the empty room of the hospital that had housed the injured sound Kunoichi, and her favorite blonde genin. The beds were bare and unmade, meaning that the pair had been gone only a few hours. Those little brats, she snapped, crushing the clipboard in her hands. Tsunade-hime, an old woman said, coming down the hall toward the woman. I heard that you had spoken to Sasuke Uchiha earlier today. Tsunade sighed as Kaharu Udatane came toward her, and a groan escaped her throat. Yes, I had a word with him this morning, she said, keeping the irritation out of her voice. Was there something you needed, Councilwoman Udatane? I was made aware of his suspension from the Shinobi Corps, the elder woman said. Was that wise? The boy may be unstable, but he is still an Uchiha, and the last loyal one to the village. Pinching the bridge of her nose, Tsunade sighed in irritation. I told him that if he was deemed unfit for the life of a shinobi by Inoichi, then his career as a shinobi of this village was over, she said without hesitation. Honestly, it took all I had not to throw the brat in prison for what he's done. Not only did he desert, but he nearly killed one of my most promising genin, and led 2 others to be severely injured in their pursuit of him. Kaharu nodded. Ah, the young Akamichi heir, and the promising branch member of the Hyuga clan, she said, sighing, and I take it the third you speak of is the young Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto? Suande glared at her. Don't refer to him by that title. She growled. He is a proud shinobi of this village, and he is as loyal as we could ever hope, even after all of the abuse you and the others have put him through. I've done nothing to the boy, Kaharu snapped. And you've done nothing for him either, the blonde said, glaring at her angrily. Nothing could make me more ashamed than what that boy has had to go through his entire life even after he became a shinobi. She turned down the hall and began walking. He's going to be one of our best soldiers when he matures. And he's earned my respect twice over because of his sheer tenacity and strength of will. An asset such as him should be nurtured and protected, Kaharu said, trying to placate the woman. But if we'd showed any favoritism toward him, the civilians would have never let us alone, and the boy would have been through even more trials than he already has. Or he would have at least grown up without having to live on the streets until Sensei found him and put him in that atrocious apartment. Tsunade sneered over her shoulder at the woman, turning about. Let me make one thing perfectly clear, she said, her hands on her hips. As you elected me Hokage, what I do with my shinobi is up to me, and me alone, and while I will respect you and Homura as my advisors, do not attempt to sway me when it comes to Naruto. He is my one remaining family member that I know of inside the Uzumaki clan. Kaharu sighed. While I understand that, the boy is still the village's best chance should one of the other villages decide to attack, she said, such as the attack from Suna and Ato only a few weeks ago. If it weren't for Sasuke and Naruto's efforts, the Ichibi's container. His name is Gaara, Tsunade snapped, bowing up to the woman, and if you hadn't heard, he is the next Kazekage in all but title. She said, looking her in the eyes, we will be dealing with him in terms of political alliances, and he and Naruto are on very good terms, given that his life was saved from the Ichibi by our supposed weapon. Don't ever underestimate Naruto. You'll end up losing every time. Tsunade Shisho, Shizune called as she neared the two from the end of the hall. I have the results from the blood tests on Tayuya-san that you wanted. Tsunade sighed. Finally, some good news. Kaharu looked at the younger woman. Were you testing her for some sort of bloodline? Hardly, the blonde sighed as Shizune reached with the paperwork. Naruto brought up a fairly good point with her yesterday, and I wanted to see if he was right, she said, and started thumbing through the files. See, Naruto now knows of his Uzumaki heritage, and, if Jiraiya finds him, he'll soon know about his father as well, but he pointed out that Tayuya has. Tsunade began to pale as she found and read the page she had been looking for, and looked at her apprentice, Shizune. Does anyone else know what's on this? No, Shizune shook her head. I did the blood work myself, and I can assure you I triple-checked it before I brought it to you. Tsunade growled. This explains a few things, such as the feel of her chakra when I was around her, she said, and why she was so talented as a genjutsu user. Kaharu looked between the two women curiously. Whatever is the matter, Tsunadeheim? You're acting like you've seen a ghost? Tsunade pinched the bridge of her nose, sighing, I have. That girl is indeed part Uzumaki, she said, making the elder smile, but she's also part Uchiha. Kaharu squawked. How is that possible? There were no outside relations documented by the clan. Tsunade looked at the woman tiredly. That would be true if the subject intended to sire a child, or if the mother was willing. Tsunade said, sighing, by the gods, this is going to be a mess. How much Uchiha blood does she have? Kaharu asked. If Danzo catches wind of this, he'll. Tsunade glared at the woman. I'm not letting that old buzzard touch a single hair on her head. She snapped, sighing, but you're right. Danzo can't know about her lineage. She's an Uzumaki, Uchiha half-blood. Just like Naruto is a half-blood between his father's clan and his mother's. Shizune nodded, and it would seem that she's taken after the Uzumaki clan more than the Uchiha. Thank goodness, she said. If it had been the other way around, she may have developed a Sharingan at this point. I agree, Kaharu sighed. If another Sharingan surfaced, and a female no less, it would cause an uproar not only to marry her off, but to keep her from being violated. Right, Tsunade said, placing her hands on both of their shoulders. I'm dubbing this an SSS rank secret. No one outside the three of us will know, not even Tayuya unless she does, somehow, awaken a Sharingan. Is that clear? My lips are sealed, Kaharu nodded. Danzo will not get his hands on this poor girl. Shizune nodded. You know I won't say anything. But the girl's father. Tsunade smiled. That's probably the only good thing about this whole. The poor man left behind quite a daughter. X equals Tayuya sneezed violently, nearly spilling the bowl of ramen she had started to enjoy. Damn. This village sure as hell plays with your sinuses. She complained before going back to her fifth bowl of shrimp ramen. Jiraiya looked at the girls for a moment. I'd imagine that Orochimaru keeps all forms of pollen, and other allergies out of the compound he kept you at, right? Tayuya nodded, her mouth full. Abrasive she may have been, but she at least had table manners. After swallowing down another mouthful, she said, aside from the scent of blood and medications, the place was kept squeaky clean. Yes, Orochimaru wouldn't want any of his subjects getting sick, Jiraiya growled, and I suppose he placed one of those marks on you. Tayuya nodded, and moved her hair out of the way, showing off the nape of her neck. Mine was the curse of hell, she said, letting her hair fall back into place. The Uchiha's was the curse of heaven. She went on, his is more powerful than most of the ones he put on my old teammates. That Sasuke brat was something special to him, just like Kimimaro was. The only reason he didn't take him was because the guy had some kind of deadly illness that would have passed right on to the bastard the minute he took him over. Naruto shivered. Why the hell would anyone let him do that to them? Tayuya shrugged. Hell if I know, she said. The mark gives you one hell of a power boost. Even if you don't use it at all. But it also makes you a lot more aggressive in the first few months of getting it. So you just got yours, right? Naruto grinned. The fuck does that mean, shithead? Tayuya sneered. Now, Jiraiya smiled as a fight started brewing. Let's not fight, besides, Naruto, she's going to help us find Orochimaru once everything settles down, remember? Naruto just grinned, and placed his arms behind his head. Ah, I'm just fooling with her. Tayuya huffed and finished off her ramen. Look, shithead. I'm hoping that Tsunade-sama finds out I'm really part of your clan and all. But don't get too chummy with me, or you'll end up in your own personal, genjutsu-induced hell. Really? Naruto deadpanned. I'm a shinobi, and I have an enormous, angry ball of chakra inside me that likes my misery. How else can you make my life any worse? Does getting rear-ended by Orochimaru tell you anything about my skills as a genjutsu mistress? Jiraiya shivered. Oh, gods, I just imagined that. And now it's stuck in my head. He then started banging his head on the counter. Evil thoughts, be gone. Naruto grimaced while Tayuya smirked. Now see what you've done. Naruto jerked his thumb over at the man. He's gonna be like that the rest of the day. Tayuya just kept smirking as the Sannin banged his head into the wooden counter while Tucci tried to stop him for the sake of his ramen stand. You kidding? This is what I call premo entertainment. No, what's entertaining is seeing his ass get beaten whenever he gets caught peeping in the women's hot spring. Naruto grinned. Remembering quite a few incidents the old sage had gotten himself into because he couldn't contain himself, and even more that Naruto himself had caused during some of their stints outside the village that he threatened to let slip to Tsunade in order to get his way with his sensei sometimes. Pure gold in his opinion. As Tayuya snickered at that, something caught her attention. A pair of somethings, actually. Shithead. She said, getting Naruto's attention, you and that pal of yours were on good terms, right? Well, he tried to help me if that's anything to go on, Naruto said, placing another empty bowl in his pile. Why? He asked, and noticed Tayuya pointing over his left shoulder. He turned around, and sure enough, said, pal, was slowly making his way toward them while lagging behind a cheerful Sakura. Just like Naruto, the older boy was covered in bandages. Though, Naruto did notice that he seemed to hang back more than he usually did. As usual, Sakura was bubbly and cheerful when she came up to him. Hey, Naruto-kun, still alive, huh? Naruto grinned at her. Hell, yeah, why wouldn't I be? Sakura giggled and pointed toward Tayuya, who was glaring at the girl. Because the last time I saw you this girl was zooming after you about to murder you. Or at least hurt you a lot more than you were this morning. Naruto looked at her in confusion. Hurt me? He asked. I'm totally fine, Sakura-chan. He grinned, flexing his arms proudly, only to receive a smack on the head from Tayuya. Ow. Hey. What the hell, Tayuya-chan? First of all, don't fucking call me that. Tayuya snapped, poking him in the forehead. Second, the only reason you ain't fucked up is because you paid for my meal. She jerked her thumb at the smallest stack of ramen bowls. And third, you're covered in bandages. So of course she's gonna think you're still fucked up. Sakura's brows nearly shot off the top of her head at the girl's crass language as Sasuke finally stood behind her, and looked surprised. Aren't you? One of the sound four. Sasuke asked. What are you doing here? Tayuya looked at the boy and sneered. Wouldn't you like to know, emo boy? Sasuke's eye twitched. Naruto snickered. She's got ya there, Sasuke. Sasuke growled. And here I was worried about you, dead last, he grunted. You know you died on us for a little while, right? Naruto felt himself deflate at that. Yeah. My new eyes showed me what happened while I was out. He looked at his teammate. Thanks, Teme. Sasuke grunted for a moment before extending his hand. I'm sorry, Naruto. Naruto looked at the Uchiha and sighed. Sasuke, he slapped his hand away. I already told you, we're good. How can you say that so easily? Sasuke asked in wonder, pointing. Because of me, you had 2 holes put in your chest, and pretty much died on me and Kakashi. So why? Tayuya crossed her arms. I gotta agree with the emo brat. Sasuke scowled at her. If it were me, I'd be kicking his ass 6 ways to Sunday. Naruto shrugged. Turning my back on him now would be the same as abandoning him. Naruto explained, looking at the girl, and the first day we became a team, Kakashi made it clear that people who break rules are scrum. Trash is more like it, Tayuya put in. But people that leave their own teammates behind are worse than scum. Naruto went on. and jerked his thumb at Sasuke. We're teammates, so there's no way I'd turn my back on him, unless he hurt one of my precious people. So even if we hurt each other pretty bad, I'd always help him when I know he needed it. Sakura looked between her two teammates and sighed with relief. I'm glad you two can put all of this behind you, she said, smiling, before looking over at her blonde teammate. What did you mean when you said, my new eyes? He's a Karyugan carrier, Jiraiya said, a large lump forming on his head. It's an extremely rare dojutsu, which can only be achieved through coming dangerously close to death, which Naruto did after Sasuke tried to bring him back to the village. He said, it's essentially a genjutsu-based dojutsu that creates an illusion so powerful that it rivals that of the Sharingan, or it could be even more powerful considering Naruto was able to augment his voice louder than if he was channeling chakra into his vocal cords. How is that a genjutsu? Naruto asked, scratching the back of his head. Tayuya scoffed, you really don't know much about genjutsu, do ya, shithead? She smirked when the blonde stuck his tongue out at her. Genjutsu plays with more than your eyesight, dumb ass. It goes for all of your sense, including taste if you're as good as I am. She sounds so cocky that even Sasuke had to scowl at that, being a genjutsu user himself. My specialty was sound-based genjutsu I cast with my flute when I still had the thing. I could even make people suffocate by making them think they were buried or something, or have heart attacks if I cast something frightening enough, or traumatizing enough. Naruto nodded, somewhat understanding. Okay, so if I used my dojutsu, I could. Right now, you wouldn't be able to do much without practice, Jiraiya said, tapping the side of his head. Most jutsu is limited by only what the user is capable of in his mind. If he or she can picture a way to do it, then it's possible, but with genjutsu, even the impossible is possible because it all happens right inside the user and target's minds. Okay, Naruto nodded, I think I get it, but how did I show Granny and Tayuya my battle with Sasuke? You did what? Sasuke grunted. Tayuya shrugged, dojutsu. When activated for the first time, are a little wild when not in the heat of battle. She explained, drawing looks of confusion from the other genin. Okay, fucktards, I'll put it a different way, she said. Think of the Sharingan like a parasite, she said, holding up one of her hands. Now most parasites don't really care about the host they feed off of, but some actually provide aid to their host to keep it alive, she said, holding up her other hand. Now the Sharingan is mostly activated by high levels of adrenaline combined with an upped heart rate, signifying that the host body is in danger, prompting the dojutsu to activate in order to keep the host alive from whatever threat there is. She said, clasping her hands together. Sort of like a symbiotic relationship. Sakura nodded, I get that. But what about Naruto's? Well, like I was saying, most dojutsu come alive during battle, but the Karyugan is something that only comes alive when the host is close to death. But the rub is that the awakening process does nothing to keep the host alive, she explained. If someone was close enough and managed to keep him from dying, then the dojutsu would activate later in a wild manner, such as when Shithead here was thinking about his battle with Emo Brat. Oi! Shut up! Naruto and Sasuke growled respectively. Anyway, Tayuya glared at the pair. When he was thinking about it, his chakra unconsciously flowed into his eyes, activating his eyes' special abilities, which allowed him to project the memories he was filtering through to me and Tsunade-sama. Naruto growled, how come you give her respect, but diss me? Tayuya gave him a pointed look right along with Sakura. Really, shithead? She's got a point, Naruto-kun, Sakura sighed, crossing her arms. Tsunade-sama is one of the most powerful shinobi in the world, as well as the strongest kunoichi in the entire history of the shinobi world. She's the world's best medical ninja, and she's the 5th Hokage. She said, taking off the woman's achievements. What more does she need to earn your respect? Hey, when I call her Granny, it's said with love and affection, the blonde grinned. Besides that, she's nowhere near as young as she. Bong, ga. What was that you were about to say, you little rat? Tsunade growled angrily as she stood over the blonde with a smoking fist raised threateningly. Because I'm sure my ears were burning with a load of bullshit that was being sent my way from a certain blonde's mouth? Naruto sweated visibly as he nursed the lump on his head. Oh. I was just listening to Sakura-chan saying how incredibly awesome you are. Naruto grinned, hoping to avoid another smack. TCH, kiss ass, Tayuya smirked. Naruto growled at her. Pot. Meet my dear friend, Kettle, he grumbled, gesturing to Tayuya. You got something to say, dumb ass. Tayuya snapped, raring for a fight. Even if my legs are banged up, I can kick you skinny ass from here to Suna and back. I'd like to see you try, Red. Naruto growled, ready for a brawl. That is before Tsunade bonked both of them on the head. Ouch. What the hell? Tayuya yelped, he started it. Did not. Did too. Bonk, bang, ouch. Both youngsters yelped as she smacked them again. That's enough out of both of you. Tsunade roared, turning her attention to Tayuya, and I did warn you not to bait him. But stuff it. Tsunade snapped, making both of them jump, Tayuya actually clearing off of her stool and hopping into Naruto's arms in fear. Now, you two have some explaining to do. Why weren't you in your room this morning? Well. Both teens looked at each other. I'm waiting. Tsunade growled. Jiraiya sighed and placed his hand on her shoulder. You can blame me for that, Haim. I took them out for some ramen since I wanted to talk to Naruto, and Tayuya wanted to come along. Tsunade glared at the man. They're both injured, you old goat. She snapped. Tayuya can't even walk. And you took them out of the hospital for that. Naruto needed to know about his father, Jiraiya said, unrepentant, crossing his arms, and you just missed him and Sasuke reconciling. You wanna get mad at me, then fine, but I'm not sorry for any of this. Tsunade glowered at the man for a moment before relenting. Fine, but all three of you are going back to the hospital, pronto. 3? Jiraiya asked. Sasuke needs to meet with Inoichi for a psych evaluation, she said. If he fails, bye-bye career. What? Tsunade nearly sighed as the loudest member of Team 7 let his displeasure out. Naruto. Don't even start. Naruto roared angrily, shocking the Hokage and present company. You wanna punish the guy, fine, but don't even try breaking up our team, he said, hopping down and placing Tayuya in her chair. I didn't go after him so you could take him away from Team 7. I went after him because he's a comrade, and he needed help. Now see here, Uzumaki, Tsunade growled. Not happening. Naruto snapped, gesturing wildly with his arms. Take him out of the game, and you take me out, too. He snatched his headband off and held it out to her. Go on, take it. Don't tempt me, she roared. Do you even know what the penalty is for what he's done? By laws set forth by my grandfather, he should be dead and buried right now. But here he is, alive and well, thanks to my good graces, and that's not good enough for you. Are you kidding me? Naruto roared. You wanna go there, fine, let's. You ran away from the village. For who knows how long, and now, after I had to drag your wrinkled ass back here, you wanna start preaching about desertion? Don't say it's not fucking fair. Naruto snapped, glaring up at the woman, both of which, by now, had drawn quite the crowd. Oh, boo-hoo, I lost my boyfriend, and my little baby brother. Naruto sneered, imitating a high, girly voice before getting right up in her face. Sasuke lost his entire clan, and guess what? His own brother did it, and made him watch. He roared, making Tayuya, Sakura and Sasuke wince. Face it, Granny, when it comes down to it, how the hell are you two any different? I didn't try to kill anyone, that's how. Tsunade roared, and how dare you bring that all up? You realize that I could have you jailed, right? Go right ahead. Naruto crossed his arms. Demons like myself ought to be locked up, ain't that right? Naruto, that is not what I mean. Tsunade gasped. You know I'd never. She stopped when she looked over at Jiraiya for support, but the man only shook his head. Leave me out of this, Haim, Jiraiya said. You got yourself into this mess. You deal with it. 'Cause I would have done the same for Orochimaru if I could have, but he was already too far gone. Fact of the matter is, the kid's right. Sasuke more than likely would have been a second Orochimaru given enough time, and probably twice as dangerous. So I should just let him go? Tsunade huffed, just like that. No, I'm saying let me get that damned seal off of both Tayuya and Sasuke. Then you can evaluate both of them, he said, scratching the back of his head. Face it, Haim, putting Sasuke's career as a shinobi on ice right now is foolish, considering how many we lost in the invasion, and if you did that, not only would you have the civilians hate, which is a headache any way you slice it, but you'd have Danzo breathing down your neck to get the boy to impregnate as many girls as possible to start up the Uchiha clan again. Anything but that. Sasuke shuddered. I would very much like to be a one-woman man. Shut up. Tsunade snapped at the boy. This doesn't concern you. Sasuke resisted the urge to point out that it really did, but he liked living too much to do that. Giving him a psych evaluation right now wouldn't be a good idea anyway, Tayuya put in. Leaning on her hands, Orochimaru's curse marks always mess with your mind a little bit, even if he doesn't intend to use you as a vessel. There, now, you see. Jiraiya said. Once I get that thing off, I'm sure things will go back to normal, and you can rule this as a simple attempt of kidnapping. Tsunade growled and crossed her arms, an angry blush on her cheeks. What is this? Gang up on the Hokage Day? She snapped, Arg, you're all gonna be the death of me. The only one here that hasn't raised my blood pressure is Sakura, and she's hiding behind Tucci. Sakura popped her head out from behind the man in question. Ehehe, I thought I'd just stay out of this one. Smart girl, Tucci smiled. But, Hokage-sama, Sakura said, as she hopped over the counter, I would like to make a small request? Tsunade looked down at her. What? Do you want me to let him off the hook, too? No, Sakura said a little too quickly, then blushed. Well, that too, but there's something else. Then out with it, Tsunade sighed. It's bad enough that I just lost an argument with a bunch of kids, and an old novelist. Jiraiya hurriedly put in. Right, the blonde's brow twitched. Now what do you want? Sakura gulped, and bowed low. Please, Tsunade-sama, please make me your apprentice. Tsunade actually looked surprised, as did Jiraiya, Naruto and Tayuya for that matter. And? Why should I? Tsunade asked. I've read your reports from Academy, and while you placed as the top kunoichi, your field performance report from Kakashi, whenever he turns them in on time, are below average. Sakura nodded sadly. That's why I'd like to be your apprentice. She said, I'm tired of being the useless one on our team. I know I have a resistance to genjutsu built up because of Kakashi, but if I trained in the medical field like you, I could be of more use to Sasuke and Naruto, and not just be in the way. You do this for them. And myself, she said, I don't want to be weak anymore. Sasuke watched the Hokage and his teammate nervously for a moment, thinking that the elder would refuse for a moment, but then he saw he beginning to smile. All right, I guess I could use an apprentice. But you realize that the training I'm going to put you through is nothing compared to what Naruto gets from Jiraiya, and I heard that the old perv threw him off of a cliff. Sakura looked up at her with slight fear, but steeled herself. I don't care, do your worst. Jiraiya grimaced. Ooh, wrong choice of words. Good answer, she said, and grabbed the girl by the back of her dress. Come along, training starts immediately, and boy do I need to blow off some steam. Naruto clapped his hands together. Rest in peace, Sakura-chan. She was a really good teammate, Sasuke put in. She'd have been a real looker in a few more years, Jiraiya lamented. Tayuya just grinned, waving, sayonara, Pinky. Sakura watched as her friends began to wave at her while she was dragged off. Naruto, Tayuya, Tsunade yelled. I want you two back at the hospital as soon as you're done eating, else I'll put you through the ringer. That got the pair moving. Tayuya wheeled herself around right as Naruto took off like a shuriken. Race ya back. No fair. Tayuya roared. You got a head start. Fwing. Kakashi sighed as he stood in front of the Hokage some time later. You're really trying to steal my team from me, aren't you, Tsunade-sama? He asked as he saw the apprenticeship form in front of her. You know I have a few good reasons not to sign her over to you, right? All of which can be solved with a few days and some red tape. Tsunade smirked. In only a few hours, I've seen exactly what she can and can't do. She has so much raw potential that it's frightening. And there are a few others I'd like to take in as well. Seeing as one Tenten Higurashi is one of last year's finest kunoichi, and the only one to keep herself alive during that year. I'm not going to operate a four-man cell without another member, Kakashi sighed, and Sasuke, as you said, is unstable at the moment because of that mark on his neck, which you said can be removed, but will take at least a week or two, so what am I supposed to do? Tsunade sighed. For now, I want you taking up your old Anbu mask again for a while. She said, Tayuya is an Uzumaki, just like Naruto. What's more, Naruto has a rare dojutsu that could get some unhealthy attention for him from too many people inside and outside this village. Not only are they both in danger of being kidnapped for their heritage, but Naruto for his eyes as well, and both have the potential to be repeatedly violated by outside forces should they come under attack. She sat back with a sigh, thinking back on the conversation she had had with Shizune and Kaharu earlier that morning. Our inside threats are more subdued because both are of Uzumaki heritage, Meaning those that would use them would wish to strengthen that bloodline by having them engage each other instead of hand-selected subjects willing to go through such a thing. And being a Jinchuriki, Naruto is more than capable of defending himself now that he's a seasoned genin. And soon to be chunin. You're promoting him? Kakashi asked. He's earned it, Tsunade nodded. The girl, however, I'd like to have evaluated in the field after Jiraiya removes both hers and Sasuke's marks. She's already made a deal with me, and given us valuable information. Such as the possible location of another, full-blooded Uzumaki. At this, the man looked shocked. Are you serious? I thought. Yes, I know, Tsunade smiled, it's almost too good to be true. But the girl seems to be telling the truth. Either way, she can and will lead us to more of Orochimaru's bases, and, possibly, Orochimaru himself. Which means you will have to be prepared to fight with him. All of you. Are you telling me that Team 7 is to be made into a hunting squad? Kakashi asked. I thought that Jiraiya wanted to take Naruto out of the village for training. What happened to that idea? He had to rethink it because of Naruto's dujutsu, Tsunade sighed, and the boy is looking more and more like his father each and every day. What's more, he knows about both his parents now, so it's doubly dangerous for him to leave for any extended amount of time bearing missions to keep his income flowing. Kakashi sighed. Sheltering him like that is a bad idea, he said. If he finds out that we're trying to keep him within bounds, he'll. I have no intention of doing such a thing, she said, smiling. The boy's too much like his mother for that. As much as I dislike the idea of him being put in the spotlight so soon, he will take any mission I deem him ready to take. Kakashi nodded. I see. So Sasuke is to be put on watch until all is said and done, and I'm still down a team member? Tsunade glared. Is that all you can think about? She asked. Fine, but you brought this on yourself. What do you? From this point on, she snapped, Tayuya Uzumaki is to be an extended member of Team 7, even when Sakura is allowed time for missions outside of Konoha. As such, Team 7 is now, officially, by order of the Hokage, a 5-body cell. Kakashi looked at her in horror. You're putting her on my team? With Naruto? Are you out of your mind? Not yet, Tsunade smirked, but I think you soon will be. They're quite the handful together. As Naruto laid in bed that night, he found himself drifting off to a familiar place as he heard the dripping of water around him, and the sound of something large breathing around him. He opened his eyes and found himself back inside the seal, staring at the iron door where 2 enormous red eyes were staring down at him. So, Kurama said to the boy, what do you think of my gift, runt? Naruto glared at the Biju. The only thing you did was save your own hide, he said. Even if you'd let me die, I know that you'd die with me thanks to the seal. A deep chuckle shook the water at his feet. So you believe that it was pure chance that the Karyugan awakened? I think not, runt. You saw for yourself, did you not? I kept that Shinigami away from you just long enough that I knew the eyes would change. He laughed. As always, you are nothing without me. Naruto growled. You can't fool me, Kurama. The fox sneered angrily at the use of his name by the boy. You did this only to save yourself. He jerked his thumb up at his eyes. These eyes were from my dad, not you, and not anyone else. Your father was nothing but a fool that failed to save the woman he loved. Kurama smirked from behind the bars, showing off his teeth. Did you know that she was still alive just before he sealed me into you? Uzumaki are known to survive my kind from being taken from them as well as living abnormally long lives. That fool of a Kage let his guard down and turned his back on me just as he prepared to seal me away into you. And Kushina jumped in front of my claws just as would have killed you both. Naruto felt his eyes widen, his vision bordering red. You killed my mother. With a smile on my face, runt, with a smile on my face. Naruto ground his teeth, looking down at his feet, his form shaking. Kurama felt his laughter rumbling through him, and grinned. Why such a long face, runt? If they had not given their lives for you, would that not mean that they did not love you? He grinned. Poor Naruto, bereft of his loving family, knowing only that they loved him so much that they sealed their murderer inside you. Screw you. Naruto roared, glaring at the fox, his eyes blood red. I don't care what it takes, no matter how long I have to live. You are never getting out of here. Even if I die, I'll find a way to seal you into something other than another human body. Ha! Good luck trying, runt. Many have tried such a thing, and all have failed miserably. Kurama roared. Just think, in the next century or so of your life, I will be sealed away into your grandchild. And then they can suffer as you have suffered. Isn't it wonderful? Ha 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 ha. Naruto sat up in bed with a shout, his eyes still glowing red, and covered in sweat. Damn that stupid fox. Hey! Tayuya's voice drifted to him, and he found the girl sitting up in bed, looking at him with a sad look on her face. You okay, shithead? Taking a deep breath, the blonde nodded. Yeah, the Kyuubi was. I know, Tayuya nodded, pointing at her eyes. I saw everything after you said it. Killed your mom. Sorry. Naruto groaned laid back in bed. Damn it, these stupid eyes are more trouble than they're worth. He groaned. Sorry. I need to learn to control them better. Tayuya sighed, not knowing what to say as the blonde covered his face with his arms. Then she huffed and swung her legs over the side of her bed, and shakily rose to her feet. Thanks to an earlier healing session, she was at least able to walk short distances, given she stayed off of her broken leg, allowing her to limp, hop over to him, and crawl into bed with him. Wah! Naruto started, and yelped when he felt Tayuya's arms going around him. What the hell are you doing? Shut up, or someone's gonna fucking hear you. Tayuya hissed, glaring at him with a massive blush across her face. And don't get any fucking ideas, shithead. This is a one-time deal. After seeing something like that, you probably need something to take your mind off of it. Naruto had to admit that she had certainly succeeded. But what if someone comes in here and sees us? I'll tell the fuckers I was sleepwalking. Tayuya smirked, her eyes closing. They'll believe that. He wasn't so sure about that, but it was plain enough to see that she really didn't care one way or the other because she was already drifting off to sleep. It was comforting, however, having the girl sleeping again.